Good morning, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to In the Word. This will be our last In the Word for 2020, although we'll pick it up next year. I was reflecting this morning. We started this journey through the Bible on December 29th, 2019, and how the world has changed since then. Our world, our churches, our frequency of meeting, our ability to meet, so many things have changed. But God's word does not change because God himself does not change. So we can rely on him, we can trust in him. Today we're in Revelation 18 to 22. And let me just point out a few features here before I'll have some concluding remarks and then a preview for next year. In Revelation 18 through 22, we've got this last section of the tribulation, the coming of Jesus and his kingdom, and then the transition to the eternal state. So chapter 18 is about commercial Babylon. I want you to notice as you read this today, three groups of people and their various reactions. Those who are warned, those who are anguished, in anguish, and those who rejoice over commercial Babylon. We didn't go into in-depth. I'll have some in-depth teaching on Revelation online within the next probably couple of months. I think I'm updating it now for teaching I'm going to do for Word of Life Bible Institute in Hungary. So I'll be updating that. But this is, I think Babylon in the Revelation is literal. It's symbolic, like Washington is symbolic of the political center of the United States. But to go on here, chapter 19 then transitions into Jesus' second coming, and it opens with really praise and joy for both God and Jesus. This is really the culmination of everything that the Old Testament saints hoped for, is the coming of the Messiah's kingdom. This is where they find the terminus of everything that they were looking forward to. Revelation 21 and 22 gives us revelation today that the Old Testament saints didn't have. But here we see Jesus returning to the earth with his raptured church. So we return from heaven with him. He establishes his rule on earth, and he defeats his enemies here. So you'll see that in chapter 19. Tie that back to Matthew 24, verses 29 through 31, which also discuss Jesus' second coming to the earth. So he came first. We just celebrated that as an infant, became incarnate. It was his first coming. This is his second. Chapter 20 then, Jesus' kingdom. This is again what the saints hoped for, what the saints longed for. They longed for the coming of the Messiah, and they longed for the establishment of his kingdom. And that's what we see in chapter 20. The duration of his kingdom is a millennium, or 1,000 years. That's why it's often referred to as the millennial kingdom of Jesus. So Jesus comes back before the millennium, establishes his kingdom on earth. So that's why we say we're pre-millennial. Before the millennium, Jesus returns. So when he comes back, Satan is bound for 1,000 years. The Old Testament saints, the tribulation saints, are all judged at this point. So there's a resurrection of the saints from the Old Testament. And those who survived the tribulation, and they become before the Lord, and that's described in Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46, where he brings judgment. And then finally, this 1,000-year period surprisingly ends with a final rebellion of Satan. He musters forces from the earth, that is, people who, although born in Jesus' kingdom, reject his rule over them, and surround Jerusalem, and you can imagine what happens to them. And that transitions into the eternal state that's discussed in Revelation 21 and 22. Again, the eternal state is revealed here. It's the Old Testament saints didn't know about this as we do. We have a new heaven and a new earth, and God is with his people in a very full sense at this point. He was with him during the millennial kingdom, but even more so now. We see the unrighteous judged at this point. So the unrighteous are raised from their graves. So there's multiple resurrections in the Bible, not just one general resurrection, but multiple resurrections in the Bible. In this one, the unrighteous are judged and sent to hell. So prior to this, Satan was bound, sent to hell. He was the first inhabitant, and then he was joined there by I think the beast and the false prophet were actually the first inhabitants. They're joined by Satan, and then the unrighteous are condemned, and they go to hell where there's constant, continuous suffering in hell. And as you've gone through the book of Revelation, you've probably seen how those who dwell on the earth reject the Lord. At some point in Revelation, they know that their judgment is coming from God, and they still resist him. So it looks to me as if the unrighteous are going to be shaking their fist at God all the way to hell. Finally, the book ends with really Jerusalem, new city coming down onto the earth, the nations of the earth then bringing their tribute to the king. And I want to point out that this final state, we're not floating around on clouds in heaven playing harps with the angels. We're on a new heaven with a new earth, or on a new earth with a new heaven. And there's a city here, so we are physically living in a new place. So this is not some kind of ethereal heavenly vision, but real new eternal life. And we see nations continue into eternity. Take note in chapter 21, verse 24 and 26, and in chapter 22, verse 2, the nations are mentioned. Take this literally, no reason to take it figuratively. And that will close out your study of the book, your reading through the book of Revelation, as well as your reading through the Bible. So congratulations. God bless you for doing that. God bless me as well. I'm certain that there's a blessing for both of us in this. And this mutual ministry that we have to one another is reflecting on Paul's prayer in Romans chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. Let me read that for you. He says, "For I long to see you, so that I may impart some spiritual gift to you, that you may be established. That is, that I may be encouraged together with you while among you, each of us by each other's faith, both yours and mine." What Paul is saying there is he wanted to be among the Roman church, to use his gifts for them and to receive their ministry to him. And I've been using as best I can the gifts that God has given me to guide you through the Bible since last December, as I said, December 29th. And you have been responding by your gift to me, your gift of your attention, of your diligence. Some of you are even making financial contributions to the ministry. So thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to minister and to be ministered to. So God bless you, brothers and sisters. And next year, starting in January, I'll be doing some traveling in January. So I'll start out probably just a couple times a week on the life of Christ, but we'll pick up the pace starting in February, and we're going to be going through the life of Jesus in 2021. I don't know how long, if it's going to be the whole year, but certainly for the first part of the year, I'll continue in the Word, and we'll be looking at Jesus' life. So God bless you. God bless you, brothers and sisters, and hope you're looking forward to a better 2021.